For much of early Mesopotamian history, Babylon was little more than a footnote, a modest, unremarkable settlement nestled along the central Euphrates, overshadowed by giants like Uruk, Kish, and Nippur. And yet, under one extraordinary king, Hammurabi, this small city would rise to reshape the political and cultural landscape of the ancient Near East forever. This is the story of how Babylon transformed from a minor outpost into the commanding capital of a new empire. The story of diplomacy, warfare, ambition, and divine kingship. Welcome to our deep dive documentary, The Rise of Ancient Babylon. Long before the towering ziggurats, grand palaces, and the famous laws etched into stone, Babylon existed as a relatively insignificant settlement known as Babur or Babili. Archaeologists suggest that it was likely inhabited during the early dynastic period, 2900 to 2350 BC. At this time, it was overshadowed entirely by the more prosperous Sumerian city-states to the south. Its early rulers claimed connections to the god Marduk, though at this stage Marduk was a minor deity, far from the supreme god he would later become. A small shrine or temple dedicated to this deity hints at the early seeds of a local religious identity that would one day define the city. Babylon's first clear appearance in historical records comes during the reign of the Akkadian king Shar-Kali-Sheri. He began constructing temples and religious foundations in the region, possibly strengthening Babylon's political and spiritual importance within the broader Akkadian Empire. During the third dynasty of Ur-III, the powerful kings of Ur reorganized much of southern Mesopotamia into tightly managed provinces. Babylon became one such administrative center, governed by officials known as ensis. Interestingly, inscriptional evidence suggests Babylon's governors may have formed a hereditary local dynasty, rare for the heavily centralized Ur-III bureaucracy. Names like Etur-Ilam, Isur-Ilam, and Abba appear repeatedly, indicating continuity of local leadership and growing local identity. Even at this stage, Babylon was not yet a powerhouse. But crucially, the administrative reforms of the Ur-III kings, land redistribution, taxation, record-keeping, and intensified irrigation, laid the foundations for cities like Babylon to eventually flourish once the old empire collapsed. In the late 21st century BC, waves of Amorite tribes migrated into Mesopotamia from the west. These semi-nomadic people gradually settled in the fertile lands of Sumer and Akkad, taking advantage of the weakening Ur-III state. Their arrival reshaped regional power structures. Amorite chieftains seized cities, established dynasties, and integrated themselves into the rich urban cultures of Mesopotamia. Among these chieftains was Sumuabum, who seized Babylon around 1894 BC and founded the First Babylonian dynasty. Under his leadership, Babylon declared independence from the decaying Ur-III influence and began charting its own future. His successor Sumu-Larel expanded Babylon's political sphere dramatically. He extended his rule from Sippar in the north to Merid in the south. When he demolished the walls of the ancient city of Kish, it was a symbolic act, showing the rising dominance of Babylon over its older rivals. For the first time, Babylon was becoming a kingdom with real territorial ambitions. Before Hammurabi's rise, ancient Mesopotamia resembled a volatile chessboard, full of shifting alliances and bitter rivalries. To the north, Shamshi-Adad I forged the Upper Mesopotamian Kingdom, a formidable power stretching across the Tigris Basin. His realm intimidated smaller Amorite states and heavily influenced the politics of the region. To the south, the city-states of Isin and Larsa battled endlessly for supremacy. The Isin dynasty, descendants of Ishbaera, the man who betrayed the last king of Ur, once held hegemony. But their authority waned rapidly with the rise of ambitious rulers in Larsa. Larsa's kings, such as Gungunum and Rim-Sin, expanded aggressively, capturing wealthy cities like Ur. Their control of Persian Gulf trade routes made them rich and strategically indispensable. By the early 18th century BC, Babylon was strong but still hemmed in. Larsa to the south, Eshnunna to the northeast, Elam further east, and the northern kingdoms above them. It was in this world of shifting alliances and looming threats that Hammurabi, son of Sinmuballit, came to power. When Hammurabi ascended the throne in 1792 BC, at just 18 years old, he inherited a realm with strong foundations but little prestige. Babylon controlled several important cities, Borsippa, Kish, and Sippar, but it was not yet the dominant force in Mesopotamia. For more than 25 years, Hammurabi ruled cautiously. He strengthened administration, irrigation systems, temples, legal structures, and Babylon's religious prestige. His reign's early decades resembled those of kings like Gudea of Lagash, peaceful, prosperous, and pious. He also made a dramatic populist move, canceling all debt burdens that oppressed ordinary citizens. This not only earned immense gratitude but also weakened wealthy elites who might oppose him. But while Hammurabi improved life at home, conflicts swirled all around him. Eventually, events beyond Babylon's borders would draw him into the political and military arenas and set him on the path to empire. Shamshi-Adad's powerful northern kingdom fell apart after his death. His son, Yasma-Adad, was driven out by Zimri-Lim, a rival Amorite ruler of Mari. At this moment of political reshuffling, the powerful king of Elam, Siwi-Palar-Hupak, sought to expand westward. Elam and Mari formed an alliance to challenge Ashnuna, a growing threat controlling crucial trade routes between Iran and Mesopotamia. Their joint invasion toppled Ashnuna's ruler, but instead of withdrawing, Elam installed its own governors. This was an unprecedented and provocative move. Elam attempted to manipulate the two major Amorite powers left, Babylon and Larsa, ordering each to attack the other. But Rim-Sin of Larsa and Hammurabi exchanged messages and uncovered the deception. This foreign treachery united the Mesopotamian powers against a common enemy. In 1765 BC, the Elamites invaded Mesopotamia with a coalition of troops from Elam, Ashnuna, and mercenaries from the Zagros Mountains. They besieged cities, terrorized the countryside, and pushed dangerously close to Babylon. Hammurabi responded decisively, mobilizing every capable man, even merchants normally exempt from conscription, forming alliances with Mari and northern city-states, and coordinating a widespread counteroffensive. In a dramatic maneuver, Mari's forces attacked the Elamite army from the rear during the siege of Hiradum. Meanwhile, Babylonian troops raided deep into Ashnuna's lands, burning fields, stealing cattle, and disrupting supply lines. The Elamites, unable to maintain their hold, retreated eastward. For the first time, Babylon stood tall as the defender of Mesopotamia. Before we dive into Hammurabi's greatest conquests and the birth of the Babylonian Empire, make sure you subscribe to the channel and like this video. Your support helps us continue creating long-form ancient history documentaries just like this one. Let's continue. The Elamite War transformed Hammurabi's international reputation. But one ally had refused to help him during the crisis, Rim-Sin of Larsa. Hammurabi did not forget. In 1763 BC, with Elam defeated and alliances secure, Hammurabi turned south. The campaign was swift and relentless. Mashkinshapur fell first, then Nippur, the sacred religious center, followed by Isin, former rival of Larsa. Finally, Hammurabi marched on Larsa itself. Larsa endured a 6-month siege. His people suffered famine and morale collapsed. Rim-Sin fled, but Hammurabi's forces captured him shortly afterward. He was executed for his betrayal. Though Hammurabi destroyed Larsa's walls to prevent future rebellion, he spared the city, canceling debts and restoring order, winning the loyalty of its population. With Larsa's fall, all of Sumer and Akkad came under Babylonian rule for the first time in history. Hammurabi's victories reshaped Mesopotamia. Independent city-states dissolved. Babylon became the unquestioned center of authority. A unified realm extended across the river valleys. The old world of fragmented Sumerian cities was gone. In its place stood Babylonia, a new political identity that would endure for centuries. But Hammurabi was not simply a conqueror. His greatest legacy was administrative. He reorganized taxation, irrigation, legal administration, and temple management throughout his empire. These reforms created a long-lasting governmental structure that future empires, from the Kassites to the Assyrians, would inherit. And, of course, one achievement stands above all others: the Code of Hammurabi, one of history's most iconic legal documents. From a modest river settlement to the capital of a vast realm, Babylon's rise under Hammurabi is a testament to strategic patience, diplomatic insight, military innovation, and administrative genius. He inherited a small kingdom surrounded by rivals. He left behind a unified Mesopotamia and a legacy of law and order that shaped the identity of civilizations for thousands of years. If you enjoyed this long-form documentary, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon for future episodes. Your support helps us keep ancient history alive.